Welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the moments that shape who we have become. Today, I'm joined by Anna Quigley, a transitional coach and mentor who help women I work on the soul-led living, especially in midlife, by learning to trust intuition and step boldly into purpose. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, Anna.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, Anna, what challenge shaped you into who you are today?
And a long story. It's been a good but a little interesting life. A lot of roller coaster moves, and thank goodness I've had some tools to work with that have helped me maneuver some of the challenges, kinds of things that we all have. And it's been really the journey, the path of finding my purpose, what I'm here for. I know with all of my heart that every one of us has unique gifts. We're born with them, divine guidance. If I joke, it's like original equipment on your car, just it's different on each vehicle, but it's still what's unique to us, even if it's 1 million, 2 million people that have an innate gift for music. None of it is expressed in the same way because it's coming from a different vehicle, a different soul, and it's combined with all of the other unique gifts that you have and that I might have. So the challenge for me was, this started when I was in my 20s. Some people call it the quarter life crisis, where you're out of school or you're just becoming an adult and trying to figure out what am I supposed to do? What path am I going? And there's an inner calling. These gifts, multiple ones, are constantly presenting themselves in our lives, but they're easily overlooked or dismissed because you need to go to college or you need to get a career and it's time to start a family and all of these other external things that come with that particular age. It's easy to ignore that inner passion that's guiding us to our purpose. And it comes about in different times of our lives. Again, a lot of times at midlife, because we've done the career and often done the family, and there's still something bubbling inside of us that's like, maybe the kids are out of the house at this point, or the relationship has changed, or you've done the career, you've been successful, but it doesn't feel quite enough. I think I know there are little breadcrumbs throughout our life. If we're paying attention to them, they help us move and navigate more smoothly through our life. When we don't, it can get a little bumpy. It can get a little bumpy. But the bumps are just pushing us back on the right path, difficult as they may be.
Thank you. So when you look back, when did you first realize that you were searching for something?
I was in my probably mid-20s, really. I had 3 different majors in college already, trying to find myself, but exploring, which is, what you get to do when you're that age, right? Try things out
Yeah.
and see what feels right. And I ended up in a good place, actually, with journalism as a background, which I've been able to use throughout my whole career. But there was always part of me that wanted a little more creative something. But I found ways to use that. Photography, and I, enjoyed art, although I'm not an artist in that regard. But I found ways to use some of those basic things that I recognized, but there were so many other areas that I didn't recognize, and it was a process of trying this career. No, this doesn't fit. I ended up in sales early on because I needed a job. The practical thing. I moved out of the area and I was like, I gotta have works. And it was funny, I did some aptitude testing because I was searching, and I heard about a company that helped not just with what do you love, but what are your abilities? And the first question he said was like, what are you doing in sales? And I said, thank you. I knew this wasn't the right path, but so I got some help. That was probably in my late 20s to kind of start reassessing and looking at some other options. But as I've moved through life, and more so, I think even recently, what I've come to realize is that the things that are quiet that speak quietly to us, those unique gifts, are the ones that we really need to be paying attention to, rather than, oh, it's a good career, this would be a good way you could make a good living doing this job, all those practical things that, bless their hearts, parents want you to be happy and succeed, but they also don't want you living, with struggle. It's a fine balance of kind of breaking away from the expectations and listening to that. And it's not always easy, but I really am seeing more and more clearly that the work ethic, work hard, you have to work really hard at something. When you really put a lot of effort into it, that's what's valuable. And we have it backwards. That there's value to working hard. Absolutely. It pays off and you still need to do that. But those are not the things that we need to be nurturing and paying attention to, right? And really fostering. Finding ways to use them. It may not be your full-time career, but find ways to incorporate them into your hobbies, time off, your playtime. And the more we do that, the more fulfilled we are, the happier we are. It affects our relationships. It affects our ability to make money because you're doing what you love, right?
Yeah, amazing.
And then what they
Yeah,
say, if you're
amazing.
doing what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's true, because it's a joy, it's a pleasure. And there's more opportunity to really feel like we're impacting the world, right? Who doesn't love that feeling of knowing we made a difference?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Anna. So you talk about intuition. How do you personally learn to recognize and trust yours?
That too has been a process. And I'm a little bit of a skeptic. When I first started studying it, I was studying psychology and philosophy and spiritual studies. And my intuition just was there in all of those philosophies. And I thought, this is interesting. So I tested a few times on silly little things. And I was like, that's weird. How did that happen? That actually took me to the right place and did that. So I started to trust it, and it's practice. Learning to recognize it's really it's a tool and it's a practice. The more you learn to recognize it, and your little voice is going to be different than mine. But it's sometimes, that still quiet voice that's like, hey, on this way, turn here, do that, But it can also be, well, I think most of us recognize the gut feeling, the chills that we get when you meet someone or you're in a situation that is just not comfortable at all. Feel that energy like, I don't want to be. But it can be in recognizing repetitive visual cues as well. So anything, there's science behind this too. Science has been studying this a lot longer than I have. And they've documented that because our senses pick up all of the images and the vibrations around us, starts being picked up, all of them starts being picked up by our senses, and then only about 1% to our brain, but our brain processes and sends it back. So when we're getting these intuitive signals, it's almost like our brain replying to the impulses that are around us, to the energy that's around us. I
Yeah,
think it's
amazing.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
a lot of it
it's
is
really
just
fascinating.
practice. I have a simple tool, that I think it helps for me to write it down. That happened. Oh, I had that instinct to go here, and I found a great restaurant. I ran into my old friend. I had been thinking about them, and all of a sudden there they were. And I'm like, okay, so I write it down, because if something like that happens on Monday, by Wednesday, I know there was something. What was that? I can't remember. So by writing it down, it helps to reinforce. And also, did it come through a gut feeling, or did it come through that little whisper that said, don't go into the intersection yet? Wait, check for
Yeah,
traffic. Or yells at you when you start to go in the car coming across is just like blasting through a red light. All of those different ways. And the more you start paying attention to how it's coming through to you, it's like recognizing, the friend's voice. I know what that voice is. Now, the trick is you still have to pay attention and take action on it.
yeah. Thank you so much. And I think the analogy you just gave just speak volumes, means that when we actually pay attention to our intuition, just the way more like a baby gets to know, or how our moms talk and how their daddies talk. Even if you close your eyes, you're like, that's daddy, that's mommy. It's really amazing, especially when you uh actually give the analogy with a friend. Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, so you blend science with soul in your work.
Well,
How do neuroscience and intuition meet in real life?
well, I'm a little bit of a science nerd. I love to know why and how things happen. And the more I've studied, there really is scientific data and research that these 11 million impulses that we get every second through our body is transmitted mostly through our senses and then to the brain. It helps. I think it helps me, and I think it helps a lot of us to know it's not woo woo, it's a real thing. And
Yeah.
um, and that gives me confidence in it. It's like, okay, I'm not imagining this and being like, oh, no, that wasn't, I don't know what that was. I don't believe in intuition. I don't know that it's real. It's real. And with scientific data, I think it gives confidence. So like, okay, this is something that's a tool that's here for me that I can learn to use if I learn to recognize it and pay attention. And that's, for me, that's the gift. And then when recognizing it, we can take action accordingly. Now, one of the things that can be a little challenging, especially just as you're really getting familiar with intuition, is that quite often when you listen to it and take action on the message, if you will, that you're getting, nothing happens. You don't have a big event or run into someone, but you don't know what you've missed. And I can tell you from personal experience, not long ago, I wanted to go home. I didn't want to take the freeway. I wanted to take a back road that was through the trees and more relaxing. And I got to the freeway and my little voice said, take the freeway, take the freeway. No, I was so relaxed. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to take, I don't want to deal with all the traffic. So I ignored it and I kept going maybe 2 minutes beyond that. Again, same thing, the little voice was like, turn around, take the freeway. I'd already missed the on ramp. And I'm like, no, I hate to turn around. I hate to backtrack. I'm like, no, I had a plan. I'm going this way. My rational mind is like, we had a plan, stick to it. And so I ignored it again. And I turned the corner and I ran into traffic, construction mostly. And it took me an extra half an hour to get home. And I laughed because I thought, I know better. I've been practicing this. But of course, I'm human and I ignored it. What? Not once, but twice. But I loved it. I laughed at that. This is such a good reminder that had I taken the freeway, I'd have gotten home, wouldn't have been a problem, wouldn't have been probably any incident, and I never would have known why my intuition was guiding me away from that. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
such a powerful reminder for me. It's like that's where the faith comes. That's where learning to just trust it and not question it. And that comes
Yeah.
with practice.
Amazing.
You just kind of have to get
Yeah.
to know that, okay, it's never been, for me, it's never wrong unless, it's my rational mind interrupting and, my logical mind trying to control it. But that's not into.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for actually sharing that. I think you just speak volume to practice, bring more of it, and make you recognize it. The more you do, the more it's going to speak, the more the knowledge is going to come into being. Many women feel it's too late to change direction.
Yeah.
What do you say about that fear?
Yeah, it's dreams have no deadline. That's my favorite thing. Dreams have no deadline. But and then if I want to get a little on the negative side, but regrets can last you your whole life.
Mm.
It's scary. It's scary. We're creatures of habit in so many ways, and we get into a comfort zone, and it's hard to change for us so often. Part of it is learning to recognize those little breadcrumbs that are popping up through your life that have been kind of showing you the way. And you get to a point, maybe it's midlife, and you go, oh, it's just too late. I can't do anything different. I've already had my career, my family, my whatever. I have so many examples of people who in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s have created entirely new careers. Freedom in that because you've done the things that we're supposed to do. the family and the education and the career. And there's a freedom of opportunity that comes at that point at midlife. There's also the value of all the experience, all the things that you
Yeah.
dealt with and challenged yourself and grown through and grown and learned from. And you're building on. It's not like starting again. And I think that's a lot of the fear. It's like, oh, I don't have to start over. It's not. It's building on an extraordinary foundation that we've created at midlife. All these experiences, all these lessons we've learned, the knowledge we've accumulated. And there's so many ways to share it. It doesn't have to be, the old midlife crisis. I call it a midlife calling. It's not an explosion, it's an opening. It's an opening to new possibilities and ways to share these gifts that maybe have been a little bit ignored or not even recognized. Again, just kind of dismissed because you were doing what was expected in life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much. And I think it just speak a whole lot of volume, especially when you make reference of the quotes. Yeah, dream does not have deadline. Regret lasts forever. I think it's really a lovely encouragement being that at every point where you actually sense that you need to make change. Yeah, you can always dream does not have any deadline. You can always turn around and face the fear and actually more like do the reversion. And
I love
it's really, really amazing.
you can, and you start down a road, you can always take another path. You're venturing out a few feet, you don't like it, it doesn't feel right, so turn. And then if you turn back, you can create a whole new path. I love the poem, the road not taken, the old Robert Frost one, where you have the two roads.
Yeah.
And when I was young, I go, oh, if I take this road, that's it. I'm stuck on that. And then I finally it didn't take long to learn. No, you just take another road, or you create a new branch instead of thinking of it as two. I think of it as a tree. You've got all of these different branches, avenues, and you just kind of create a whole other branch, a whole other path from the one that you're on. There's no limits. There's
Yeah.
no limits other
Yeah.
than
Amazing.
what we're willing to do. And I think it's not seeing the destination, not seeing, so often as humans, well, I want to know that that's going to work. Well, I know in my own life, I get to see about 3 feet ahead. When I make
Yeah.
major life transitions, I get the first next step. And I don't usually get more than that. And I've learned that if I trust that and take that first 3 feet of steps, then pause for a minute, the next few steps make themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, Anna. So for my audience who want to reach out to you, who want to get your book, and who want to connect with you, how can they reach out and where is the best platform?
Well, I would love to share one of I call it my second act playbook, but it's whatever that next act is for you. And they can just download it for free. There's no obligation. It's a workbook, sort of a self-assessment to help you start to recognize what those core values are and what those inner callings, those little quiet whispers that have been trying to talk to you. And it's spelled out second act playbook.com. And if they go there, they can download it, and it'll start them thinking about what are those quiet whispers that they've been hearing. There's some questions they can ask. And I love the questions.
Yeah.
Questions you ask people that know you, because I may see gifts that you have that you dismiss because it comes easily. It's just, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had friends go, oh my gosh, oh, that is so, how do you do that? To do what you do. And you're like, what? Like, that's just something I do.
Yeah.
We don't pay
Yes.
attention because it's easy. And those are the things that I think the workbooks helps us start discovering, uncovering, because they've always been there. So I'd love
Yeah.
to
Thank you so
share
much.
that. I'd love to share that with your listeners.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. So before we go, our last question. If a listener feel the quiet inner nudge right now, what is one step they should take to honor it?
Anytime you can find a moment of silence, quiet, and it can be walking in nature, like the power of the shower, to floating in the water, or just in a tub, or letting the water run over you. You're shutting down, quieting down the chaos of life that's around us. Nature's so powerful. I love I love nature as an option, but it could be finding 2 minutes of private time, with sometimes it's like take an extra 5 minutes in the car before you go into the house where the kids are greeting you, you have to cook dinner, and you're home from at the end of the day. Somehow find some stillness, some quiet time, or give yourselves 2 or 3 minutes before you jump out of bed and just be aware of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Listen to what's going on. That is such a powerful time because our subconscious is visible. We can hear those thoughts and those messages because the day to day and all of the activity around us hasn't had a chance to come at us.
Yeah.
So,
Joking.
right,
Yeah.
that wonderful morning.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the simplest
Yeah.
way to start, but it's not easy always to find those moments. I know that, especially with families and kids and jobs and all of the responsibilities that we have. It's important.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us today. Listening. Once again, truly a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Anna.
My pleasure.